wrote so familiar. What's your name? Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew it looked familiar. I had a paint. Oh, you did? Okay. Thank you. Black and white. On a couple. Put it on. Good mix. A lot of people had it. Yeah, we haven't been in years.
We have a lot of people here tonight. Thank you for coming, everybody.
Yeah.
We're here tonight to talk about our water situation, no matter what side you're on, what you want to have with your property. Tonight's a discussion, and we want to be sure that we treat everybody's opinions with respect and kindness. This has been a long road with a lot of twists and turns, but what we want to focus on tonight is where we are today and how we assure our community has a dedicated long-term source of water. We're going to present an overview of the various options available, so you may decide for yourself which source of water you feel is best for you and or our community as a whole. It's a very serious situation right now. We have a lot of things that are coming up that are very time sensitive. And it requires a balanced, non-emotional, non-confrontational approach. So please participate with an open mind and willingness to create an effort to help explore solutions to our current situation. Logistical situations here tonight. The fire trucks need to be able to exit their driveway if something occurs. They have pulled one truck out. That is the most important truck. If you have a vehicle in front of that truck or any truck, please go move it now. And then as far as bathrooms go, the first door on the south side there, the door is open. You can go through that first door and then make your first left, and that is the restroom if anybody needs to use the restroom.
I have a question. Could you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll introduce everybody. My name is Jennifer Simpson, and I'm a prospective future board member, and pretty much Karen and I lead the team in everything that goes on with what's going on in the water district. This is John Horner, one of the water haulers. This is Karen Nabity, my cohort in crime. And this is Chris Morrissey, and another member of our team.
Okay, so bear with me. I'm just going to quickly go through the scenario, what's going on with the city of Scottsdale, go over high level of the different options and how it'll affect our community, and then we want to have a discussion. And when I say we're going to have a discussion, I want you guys to answer the hard questions, because we've had a few meetings already where neighbors have offered to have meetings at their homes. And one of the biggest ones, obviously, is condemnation, right? So let's hit that, and let's hit that hard. And whatever your concerns are, make sure you bring it up tonight and we talk about it, because if you're not asking the hard questions, there's no point in us doing all of this. So let's get through all of it together, but in a kind and good conversation type thing. So first, Scottsdale has put us on notice. They've sent out a news release. They sent out an official notice to water haulers. And for some of you, bear with me here. We have some people who are brand new. We have some realtors here that are from outside the area, and we have some people who are looking at buying property. So I'm going to kind of start from the beginning, so it might bore some of you that have been involved for a while here. But Scottsdale's put us on notice. Water hauling will stop at the end of 2022. It's not negotiable. It's stopping at the end of 22. And they have sent out a press release or a news release. And in that news release, they have stated that not only does it stop, water hauling is only for Scottsdale residents. However, you have to prove you're a Scottsdale resident by August 1st of this coming year. And if your property receives water if you have water piped to that property from the city of Scottsdale, you have to explain why you need hauled water. So they're being very strict. Brian Biesmeyer told us in meetings, they need to account for every gallon. They don't want 1 gallon leaving the city of Scottsdale. They're currently having meetings on how they're going to do the expansion within the city of Scottsdale with the amount of water and the cutbacks that are coming with the CAP on Tier 2 and Tier 3. So then, what are our options? We basically have 2 options. We can go with a private utility or public utility, kind of like an EPCOR, a Global Water, somebody who starts a private company, an LLC. All of those entities or utilities are assigned a service area by the Arizona Corporation Commission. And then the Arizona Department of Water Resources, they have to apply for them, with them, to serve the water. Arizona Department of Water Resources regulates all the water for the state of Arizona. So they have to go through that to be able to serve the water. Now, if you are a private utility, you put on your business cap here, and you want to make a profit, you want to make the most profit. So currently, EPCOR is at the bottom of the hill. And at the bottom of the hill, they pull water out of wells, and those wells are considered SRP water, okay? So when they pull water out there, they have to give an equal amount to SRP elsewhere. So they buy water and they give it to SRP, which authorizes them to pull out at the bottom of the hill. It's not a real cheap option, right? It's kind of expensive. Now, if they were to expand their service area and all of us become part of their service area, do you think they're serving us the expensive water? Or do you think, as a businessman, I'm going to come up the hill a little bit and go over here on the north side to 144 or 152nd, I'll explain that in a second, and put in commercial wells? Because we have talked, in fact, I've talked this week to the Arizona Corporation Commission, who cannot limit where they draw that water from, and I talked to Arizona Department of Water Resources, who said yes, once they get the right to service the area, they can, as long as it's within their service area, they can put in wells, okay, and pull out of our aquifer. The downside, now, the reason I mentioned 144th and 152nd is the Arizona Department of Transportation's. Whether it's a utility like them, a district like us, if they have a water hauler like John coming and picking up at a fill station, it has to have public access. That's a really big thing. So they, in this community, 136, 144th, 152nd, there are certain lines that are main public access streets that maybe county should be maintaining, and like Rio Verde Drive. So they could put those there. The problem with putting commercial wells on over here is we feel, we don't have a hydrological study, but we have talked with many, many people whose properties currently have wells drying up, or their wells do not support their property in this community. And when I say that, I'm talking on the north side, the south side, the east side, the west side. Just looking at the full thing, just think of it, it's all shrinking. And yes, we do have some down here, which is a different issue with arsenic and the different things down along the Tonto. But for this discussion, we're really focusing on what's happening with this aquifer. So if we have commercial wells put in here, and we currently, let's say, with all the new home builds and stuff, when we get to the point where we're at 48 million gallons. Well, if we're getting 48 million gallons a year from Scottsdale, if we could continue, that's 48 million gallons that, bear with me, go through our leach fields and help supplement our aquifer. But if we lose that, and now we're taking that 48 million out of our aquifer, off wells, now it's a 96 million hit on our aquifer. And that's a hit on those with wells. Now, I don't have a well. I'm hauled water, but my kids are going to have a well. And I have grandchildren here. So what we don't want is a 2-year, a 10-year solution, like New River got stuck with, right? EPCOR came in, they got a standpipe, yay, everybody gets water, we're on a 10-year contract, but guess what they don't have? they don't have a legally obligated source of water to those properties. And I'll come back to that, remind me about the lending piece. So anyway, so that's the options with the utilities. And who knows, F4 might just go with the SRP option, right, at the bottom. But if you really want to make the money, and they made $121 million last year and $55 million in the first quarter of this year, where are you going to maximize that? Right off the aquifer up here, guys. Okay, so and that's just my opinion. Okay, so I haven't talked. Doug Dunham hasn't confirmed that for me. In fact, Doug Dunham with Epcor has told me they don't make their money on their water; they make their money on the infrastructure. So, and what is infrastructure? Piping. Okay, so in the big scheme of things, it allows piping. It allows them to provide a 100-year assured water supply, water source to developers in this community. And some of you love that idea, and some of you hate it. So, you know, you each get to decide on what side of the fence you're on that. The other choice we have, so that's utilities through Arizona Corporation Commission. The other side is a district. And when we're looking at a district is an entity under Title 48 in Arizona law that allows residents to create their own solutions. So in this case, it's a water solution. We need water. So in my very simplest form, when I explain to people, it allows us to create a district. Think of a boat. Anybody who wants water, come join us, jump in the boat. We're going to go buy some water. We'll pay for it, and we'll all share that cost and have water for our homes. But it's a little more complicated than that. So with the district, we are doing non-contiguous. And why are we doing non-contiguous? It sounds scary. And it doesn't give everybody in this community a voice. But there's a reason for it. In 2018, this community said at the community meeting, which I had to watch the videos because I wasn't involved back then. It was a whole other group of volunteers that became a little bit exhausted for some reason. So in that meeting, though, they said, we don't want to be forced into a district. I don't want to have to pay for water. I have a well. You don't. We're the haves. You're the have-nots. There was all kinds of opinions about that. So how could we create something, a water solution for this community that would allow us to provide you water for your home if you needed it, and let's say you have a well and you don't want to be part of it and you don't want to pitch in a dime. Well, the solution became, after talking with numerous, we had over 7 attorneys that said, your guys' solution is real simple. Create a district, and it allows it to be non-contiguous. And what we did is we created a petition, and if you sign the petition and put your property into the district, your property's in. If you didn't sign it, you're out. It's really that simple. So now I want to make sure, because there's, let's see here, hold on, bear with me, let me find, where's my flyer, Jen?
Right there.
Oh, okay.
Karen, just to simplify contiguous versus non-contiguous for those who are new to this.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, most districts or utilities are formed contiguously. But throughout the state of Arizona, there's probably 14 counties that have non-contiguous districts. They're all over the place. In fact, the Blue Ridge District is actually a regular subdivision. If you just think of a square mile with all the homes and streets and sidewalks, most of those are contiguous, right? You have a whole area, you need water, you need whatever you need. That's a contiguous area, and it's all together. But the Blue Ridge District is just like that. That community can agree, kind of like our community. Some people want it in, some people want it out. And they actually have a source of water, and it's piping to every single home. So what they did is said, who wants in? We need to get water. So some properties are in the district, some are not. But they made it the same. So if you're not in the district, you still get water. But they were able to go through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, qualify for a loan, get their water, and now they all have water in yay. And they pay it through their utility bill. Okay. So non-contiguous just means, per the Attorney General, it's the Webster Dictionary, right? It means they don't touch. So So you can have a property over here, over here, over here. We're just, if you took a handful of marbles and just threw them on a table, those marbles are properties that are in the district. Everybody else is not. And it's completely allowed and done lots. Now, as a district, we have promised, and we have put it in writing to Maricopa County, to the Board of Supervisors, to our community, on flyers, on our website, in meetings, in Board of Supervisor hearings, etc., the following things. We want to address the condemnation. So how do we do that? A lot of people want us to keep saying, right, bylaws. The bylaws don't cover that. But what a district has the authority to do is write an ordinance. And an ordinance becomes like a rule or almost like a law for how that district is run. And so you pass an ordinance, and the city of Scottsdale has lots of ordinances, right? It's the same thing. So we would write ordinances, and we've already said these things will be addressed in an ordinance. Condemnation. The district must not condemn a property to force it into the boundaries. Guess what? If you don't want it in the district, we don't want you in the district because we're going to have a bucket of water. It's going to be limited. If you want in, great. It's going to be pretty that simple. The district would only use the power of condemnation to secure a utility easement or public access to a dedicated fill station. Where is this fill station going to go? I get asked this. In fact, Lisa from Ranch 17 asked me that numerous times today or yesterday. We don't know where it's going to go because we're not formed. And until we're formed, we can't go buy land. So right now, land that might be for sale might not be for sale down the road, right? So we have to wait till we're formed. Then we're going to go buy that little magical parcel of land and put in our fill station. But the condemnation, what people are worried about is if the city of Scottsdale water's at 128th, or let's say it's at 128th, and we buy a parcel of land in the city of Scottsdale on Rio Verde Drive, just off 136, 132nd one with those main lines. We will just run a pipe from the fill station straight to the city of Scottsdale. That's or to their pipeline, right? It's going to go right down Rio Verde Drive, and guess what? All those main lines have utility easements. We'll be in those easements. We're not going to have to use condemnation or any of that stuff, right? Because that's hard stuff, and our members will have to agree that we want to go through something like condemnation, which is really expensive. You go through courts, and it's not we're taking away somebody's property. We're just wanting to bury a water line across the front. And most of us have an easement already for a utility line for SRP or APS, or whoever happens to serve your property. So we would go within those. Let's see here. And then the entity must not seek to purchase properties through condemnation. So a lot of people are worried we would take their property, condemn their wells. We're going to force them into the district. No judge would ever approve something like that. And if we've got 200 or let's say 300 people in the district, let's say you're all in the district, why would we go condemn somebody's house and their private well? The private well's not going to do anything for us. And no judge is going to say, that's a good idea, because look how much raw land. There's more raw land out here than there is properties with homes. So just common sense says we're going to go buy that little 2.5 acres somewhere, put a fill station on it, and hook it to City of Scottsdale. Additions to the district. Property owners must choose by petition, again, to have their property included in the district. That's the only way you can be in. You have to petition. And after we're formed, you can, once a year, we will have where properties can sign a petition and petition the board of the district, whoever that is at that time, to join the district. And the only caveat is if there's enough water for those additions. And I really want to emphasize that we're trying to get as many people to sign up at the beginning now, because we want to buy as much water as possible. So make sure I come back to that part. Let's see, the entity must, let's see here. So we're not going to force any property into the district, and we will allow for non-members to join by annual petition. Non-member water access, any entity, district or otherwise, has to have water for fighting fires and make excess water available for purchase by non-members. Because again, we have all the people with wells But we also have 668 pools as of about 18 months ago when I counted them on the aerial view. And every once in a while you need a pool fill. If you have a well, don't use your well to fill your pool. You want to protect it and have hauled water to do that. So we'll have excess water for those kind of things. Anything else about it? No. Okay. Well, what did I say?
The lending.
The lending. Okay. So lending. Fannie Mae is the #1 backer of conventional loans, and in 2017, on their appraisal guidelines, it says the source of water for a property. In fact, I looked up other lenders, and some lenders simply won't lend now on hauled water. But Fannie Mae guidelines on 2017 say basically that the appraiser has to know where that water comes from. And they want to know that your property has a legally dedicated source for your property. So you can either have city or you can have a well on your property. But if you get your water off your property, you have to prove you have a legal right to go get that water. So in other words, you might have something could be like you have a shared well agreement. There's 5 of you, and it's over on Joe's property, right? So you have a legal agreement, and you have a right to go to the source, walk on that property, all these things. There are certain qualifications there. Then you're good to go. But if we have a temporary standpipe, like New River, and it's up for 10 years, and we have a right to go over to it, but it's not dedicated to your property, it's not a dedicated source, okay? So there's a difference, and what we want is a legally dedicated, obligated source to our property, so that you know when you wake up tomorrow, you have a right to a source of water for your home. Not just today, but for when you sell your property, 5 years, 10 years, and that person comes in, and I say 5 years or 10 years, because guess what, in 5 years, if this drought continues as it's predicted to do, we're a tier 1 on Lake Mead right now. We're supposed to be tier 2, tier 3. Within 5 years, we could be below 1,000 feet, and we'll be lucky if we get any electricity or any water coming down the Colorado River. Okay? City of Scottsdale relies 66% of their water comes from the Colorado River, guys. So, I mean, I can't stress enough how important this situation is. We need to secure this water now for these properties. You want it to be legally dedicated to your property. And by being in the district it is. You can be out of the district and have us supply you water because we'll have excess water. We can afford to buy enough water for the entire community. We'll buy more than what the entire community uses right now. That's not going to be the issue. We've already talked to U.S. Department of Agriculture. They'll do the funding. We get the governmental rates. So the financing will be a good deal. The Water Infrastructure Finance Authority will get little things from them as well on theirs. So, source of water. Okay. So what are the sources of water? There's a number of sources. One of the top sources is Harquahala Valley, but I'll come back to that. We can also get water from Fort McDowell, but Fort McDowell, like 1 year they sold all their water over to Gilbert, and another year they might sell it to Central Arizona Grand Prairie County. Huh? But it's temporary. They might sell you 1 year or 2 year. What we want is a long-term, and when I say long-term, I mean like 99 years. We don't want a 10-year or 5-year solution, because in 5 years there's going to be no water left. Then what are we going to do, okay? So we don't want to, as Supervisor Chikri had told us, we're not going to kick that can down the road. We want a long-term source of water. So we can do that. We can do a type 2 through the Arizona Department of Water Resources. So some are like certificates, but there's also wet water that can actually go into CAP canals that can move over to City of Scottsdale. So as long as it's wet water, we're good to go. And then we have Harquahala Valley. And today, and I don't know, if they've made the decision by now, the City of Queen Creek Council is voting on it right now. Harquahala Valley Water, I have copies of all the contracts, and they are looking at buying 5,000 acre feet from Harquahala Valley. There are competition, our prices going up. They have a total of 20,000 acre feet that they're going to sell in this tranche, okay? 5,000 of it probably just got sold tonight to the city of Queen Creek to support them guys. And Pinal County, Arizona Department of Water Resources, won't allow any more development in Pinal Active Management Area because they're out of water. So if you're a Shea Home, sorry Shea, but anybody, and you want to build a development, you can't pull water out of the ground in the Pinal AMA. You have to bring in an outside source. And where are you going to get that outside source of water? Harquahala Valley. So they're looking at it. The Arizona State Land Department is looking at it. And when Global Water, or EPCOR, so like Global Water pulls water out of here, right? And that sounds like it would be part of the cheap option. But because they did it for a subdivision, they have to replenish, because we're within the Phoenix AMA, they have to replenish the aquifer. But unfortunately, none of that water can come here. So all those residents, and here's the really crazy part, are part of a water district. And that water district is called the Central Arizona Ground Replenishment District. So Global Water pulls water out, and some of those properties pay $25 a year in property tax, and some pay over $900 in property tax. It is based solely on their amount of water they use. Global Water pulls water out, they give it to these properties. If they use a whole lot, their property taxes go up. Plus they have to pay Global Water, I forget what the monthly fee is and the cost of water and all that fun stuff, okay? So for those that think sometimes the utility is the best option, well, you get the utility, the Arizona Corporation Commission, and you still got the water district and property taxes in that scenario. Okay. So Supervisor Chicory sent out a letter to the community, and right now, bottom line, we talked to Jen Pokorski tonight, like probably an hour and a half ago, and had a nice conversation with her that included, we just need to wait for the next supervisor. They've had 22 apply for Steve's position. It's going to be a very long process. Some will be like, no, 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 but then there's a whole bunch that are like, ah. And because some of them are attorneys or prior city councilmen, et cetera, it's going to be a long process before they do that. And guess what? If we just sit here and wait on our tushies, that water's going to be gone. And then our option is going to be our aquifer. And I don't think it's our best option. I think our best option, and it's the harder path. And for the people in the district, is it the more expensive path? Yes. But is it the path that provides us a long-term source of water for our properties? Yes. All day long. Yes.
Didn't I hear that EPCOR, you were talking about the non-contiguous with the district?
Mhm.
EPCOR, everybody would have to be in it, is that correct?
Yeah.
Explain that.
Okay.
Karen, talking about the possible options that the county is talking to us about. The possible options with an F4 and also Dwid and pushing water to Scottsdale, because you didn't mention that.
Okay. Give me a second, then remind me, and I will come back to that.
What was the question?
So
What was your question again?
she was talking about the source as EPCOR being the water provider and being a contiguous district. So what I was mentioning to Karen is the county has come forth in June, in our June community meeting, they came forth and they said, well, we're going to look for an alternate solution to the domestic water improvement district, which is the Dwid we're talking about. And they made it sound like kind of that they found Harquahala water, but we had already found Harquahala water. Harquahala water can only be purchased by a political subdivision of the state, which is municipalities, cities. The district, an improvement district, is considered a political subdivision in the state. A co-op, a private utility, cannot buy that water. And that is the best source of water going right now, and they're just waiting for approvals from ADWR. There is another solution that the county is possibly talking about, and they don't have logistics for it. They don't know if it's even legal to do it, and they've been pushing us off since May. to find out whether it's even legal to do. So an EPCOR Global is a private utility company. They're talking about the solution possibly being what a Dwid would do is buying water from Harquahela, putting it in the Cap Canal, bringing it to Scottsdale. Scottsdale processes it, then we get it from Scottsdale and give it to you guys, okay? That's the process that the Dwid is going for. They're talking about a possible solution where they buy the water, Maricopa County, and they still don't know if it's legal for them to do, and then pass it off to somebody else, because they are a political subdivision of the state. They're talking about buying the water from Harquahela, turning it over to possibly an EPCOR or a global or private utility, which is kind of circumventing the law in a sense, but they're not sure if it's quite legal yet. They still don't know these facts. Turning it over to an EPCOR, and then EPCOR would then process it through Scottsdale, then build a fill station, and we get the water from EPCOR. Just like the Dwid would do, but an EPCOR would service us instead of the Dwid servicing us. The problem with an EPCOR is they would have to build a temporary standpipe like they have out in New River, and that doesn't suffice for us. That's not dedicated to our properties. That means the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, regulations would go into effect, and you may not be able to refinance your house, or you may not be able to buy a house because you don't have a dedicated source of water to your home. So you could, but if you have the cash laying around, then I guess you can do whatever you want to do. But the other thing is, which we're asking, if you, county, are offering alternate solutions, and an EPCOR is your possible alternate solution, then we want it dedicated. And in order to dedicate it to us, that requires a CCNN, which is a Certificate of Convenience and Necessity. And in order to, that would dedicate it to our properties, but that would entitle this entire area. And that would require everyone. They don't do non-contiguous CCNNs. It would be a contiguous thing which would force everyone in it. And that means that once they turn it over to a private utility, then that private utility is run by the Arizona Corporation Commission, not the county. It's not run by Maricopa County. It's not run by us. We don't have a say in how it goes. So yes, they can service us. They can be an ultimate solution. But we, as members who are trying to create a district, that's not what we want, and that forces those who oppose the Dwid to be in the district. So in order to dedicate it to our properties, the CCNN is required. And we can go through more questions about that as time goes on. That was one of the other solutions she didn't mention out with that.
And we'll be paying a lot more money because of the middleman.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that you can say about that, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff. I feel like I'm picking on that part. It could be any utility, guys. It could be a community member that has millions of dollars and they want to come up with a utility, and they could do it, right? Whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Okay, we're going to move on. Let's talk about water sources for hauling. Okay, there's been a lot of, oh, don't worry about it. The water hauler has other water for your property. Guess what? Let's be really clear here. A water hauler has a permit to haul water. They are not your source of water. They have the permit that allows them to go from point A to point B with water in their truck with a bunch of rules about that. Okay? Your source of water, now, we had I want to say it was H2 Eco, so they're here. I'll let them speak up. But somebody on social media, and I ended up calling them because I thought, baloney. So I call them and said, what's your sources of water? Scottsdale shuts us off. Where are you going to get my water for my property? And they said, well, we got contracts with Phoenix and Cave Creek. Well, I talked to Sean over at Cave Creek, and guess what? Cave Creek just had somebody doing a commercial property, and they bought property, and they were going to make a commercial building. All was good until that person decided they needed some water for that property. And they called Sean, and guess what? They don't have water for that property in Cave Creek. Cave Creek doesn't want 1 gallon of water leaving there. Okay? Some of you have been around for a while. I know a lot of you are new, but for those of you who have been around a while, you know about 2017. Phoenix cut off New River, right? They gave them 6 months, okay? Now they've got the EPCOR standpipe. But they don't have water from Phoenix. So Troy over there, they want their water staying in Phoenix. And K Creek said, like H2 Eco and some of these others, they don't have any permits to draw water from K Creek, so he doesn't know how they're getting water from their system, but it gives them a heads up that, ooh, something's up, right? So just be aware that your property, if you're relying on your water hauler to find you a source, if this tier 1 Lake Mead is going to a tier 3, if Scottsdale's shutting down, Phoenix and K Creek, anybody in this state who relies on water from the Central Arizona Project or Colorado River, they're all going to be required to cut back. And they're required to by the Arizona Department of Water Resources. So even us, once we get water, if we have water from CAP, we're required on these certain things. So we're also required to conserve no matter what as things get more serious in the state. But luckily for us, if we did, I'm going to use Harquahilla Valley for example, that is groundwater, that is way past Buckeye, like on the way to California. It's a couple hours away from here, okay? They'll put that water in Cap Canal, go through Scottsdale, and come on over here. But that water, just because it goes in CAP, is not CAP water. It's not Colorado River water. It's groundwater that we have permission, or would have permission, to move through the Cap Canal to Scottsdale for us to use out here, and that will supplement our aquifer.
Any other water hauler does. And I'm telling you right now, Cave Creek is not an option. And if I were to tell anybody in this room that I'm going to bring you water from the city of Phoenix and put it in your tank, I am openly telling you I'm committing a felony. That is unacceptable. It is not legal. It is, I know it's being done, but it's not legal. Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. I have sources throughout the state as well. But I tell you what, if I have to go to Maricopa to bring water to you guys, I might be able to get 2 trucks a day done. Guess how much that water is going to cost you? It's prohibitive. It is not a permanent source. It would not support this community. It's a done deal. As the tiers tighten up, my availability to any excess water will dry up along with our community's ability to get any water for ourselves. It's a no-brainer. So what we really have to keep in mind is everything that we're doing right now, we are on a time crunch, okay? When the city of Scottsdale said you have until December 31st, 2022, I believe them, okay? I went through this with New River and Desert Hills. And when Phoenix, literally, thousands of people, Phoenix was just like, you are done. I was like, there's no way. There's no way a municipality is going to sever a lifeline to a community. Oh, yes, they will. And they did. It was only through community organization, much as it starts here, people coming together, making a voice, that the city of Phoenix even buckled a little bit. And it was a brutal battle. We don't need to go there, but our timeline is legit. The clock is counting down. It will not be any more time added to the clock. Okay, so I just want to make that really clear from a water hauler's perspective. Believe it when the municipalities say they're going to cut you off. Believe it, and believe me when I'm telling you, I do not have any external sources. Short of playing the private utility, let's dig a well out here, okay, if the community, I know for a fact that wells off of 136th Street are going down. The static water table is declining, and we are bringing in millions of gallons of water every month to this community, and it's still declining. To roll the dice and put commercial wells in up here to tap in off of our aquifer is insanity to me at this point. We can always go to our aquifer. It's not going anywhere. I mean, so 10 years down the road, if we need supplemental, okay, we have that option. But to do it out of the gate while we still have external sources around, it's insanity. So I want everybody who's in here to really think about what we're doing. And as far as groundwater goes, there's no way I'm going to say that sucking water from the bottom of the hill is not going to affect wells up here. No way. Okay? I've been doing this for 20 years. Call it gut instinct. But I'm not going to be, there's no way I would support that because I want everybody who has a well up here to be protected, and anybody who wants to put a well up here to be protected. And so because if any part of our community falls, the hauled water people, the well water, it doesn't matter. Our whole community, the entire community goes down. This isn't a haves and have-nots. This is whoever has the ability to support a community member needs to, okay? Because if we don't, and if we lose this connection, we are in trouble. And yeah, I'm passionate about it because of what I lived through, because I've seen it, and because I almost died of dehydration. So that is a pain that nobody ever wants to experience. So yeah, I'm passionate about this, okay? So I know how hard Karen and Jennifer and the other members who weren't able to make it, how much time they've dedicated and effort, money for this community. When I see people trashing them on social media, oh, it's it. I have to walk away from the computer and just breathe because it's rough, okay? So I just wanted to clarify a couple things. Thank you guys for what you're doing. And continue. Thank you.
Okay, so we're open up for questions. Oh, okay, raise a hand. Yes, please. Hi.
So, obviously this, if we get this approved, it's not gonna be done before the end of next year. Where are we gonna get our water from?
Thank you for asking that. Okay, so we have talked with Brian Diesmeyer.
Yeah, repeat the
So the question is, okay, well, if the district gets approved, it's gonna take a while to get that water, right? Because it involves the infrastructure to get to the cap and all that kind of stuff. So what are we gonna do for water? Well, City of Scottsdale, okay, because we would buy a source of water that goes through the Cap Canal, and City of Scottsdale is gonna process it. City of Scottsdale is not doing this for free because they're our best friend. They're gonna make a lot of money off this situation, right? So they're going to process the water. We'll pay them an annual fee for that privilege. But when in conversation with Brian Diesner, what is said is we need to get the district approved. We need to figure out which source of water we're going with. We have to do an IGA, which is an intergovernmental agreement with Scottsdale, the CAP, the source of water, and the district, and get that going. That process takes about 24 months. It's going to take about 24 months for us to get that first drop of water. So let's just assume it's going to be January 1, 2025. So 23, 24, we're out of water. Well, City of Scottsdale said they will do an extra contract with us and supply the district water to serve to this community for 23 and 24, as long as the district can make Scottsdale whole and provide them every single gallon of water back after we get our source. So we would buy excess. In those first couple of years, we're going to have excess, right? Because we have a lot of raw land signing up for the district. So we have to buy water, planning for future development of those people that want to build their house that just bought their land, right? So that water will get back to Scottsdale to make them whole. So thank you for asking that.
And that is contingent upon the district being approved.
Yeah, if the district were approved.
If nothing is approved, we have no water.
If nothing's approved, yeah,
If
we're out.
there's such a dire need for water everywhere in the valley, how are you going to, is there somebody available to sell a contract for 99 years?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
it's
Harquahela.
so Harquahela Valley. We could actually get it for 100 years, but we want 99 years.
So how can they guarantee that if everybody's running out of water?
Okay, so Harquahela Valley is part of Arizona statute, and I'm going to guess here. I want to say it was in 1995 or 1993. Okay, sometime in the 90s, under Title 45-514 or something. I don't know. Transportation Act. They said that area out there was kind of like a gold mine for water. And so there's a huge, massive aquifer under there. And it was a lot of farmland, right? So with all that farming going and everything, that water perked down in there. And part of that area is actually used for a long-term storage credit. So there's a second company out there called Vidler. And Vidler has actually charged that aquifer with a ton of water. And now they have what's known as long-term storage credits that are stored there, and that's water that we can use through Arizona Department of Water Resources, through those credit certificates, and pull that water out. We're not going that path. We're actually doing where we buy the land, like City of Scottsdale's done. They bought a lot of land out there that allows them to pull out so much. It's a very heavy area of water. So that's why. And there's been huge studies done on it.
So the Dwid would buy land out there in addition to the land that we need to buy?
Yes, the Dwid, when we buy water out there, we will actually be buying land. It's part of the deal.
Not acres and acres of land. An acre of land would give us a certain amount of water rights to pull a certain amount of water out. And all we would really need to do is buy an acre of land out there. But we are guaranteed a certain amount of dollars per acre foot of water that we pull out. And we would get that contract for 99 years, and explain why we would get the 99 years.
And we like 99 years over 100. So really quick, who's a developer in this room? Oh, good. Okay, so 99 years supports all of us. 100 years supports the developer. So if when Trilogy went in down here, right, they have to get a 100-year assured water supply, which they were able to do using the water from EPCOR, pulling out of those wells, that allows them to develop like that. So they have to have that certificate from Arizona Department of Water Resources to do that kind of development before any of that gets approved. So they have to have that 100-year assured water supply. But we have promised our community, we've heard over and over, I can't tell you how many people I've talked with that said they were afraid the district would promote development. You guys, we're residents for residents. I'm an Arizona native. I have kids and grandkids out here, right? We want to protect this rural lifestyle. We got the horses, the chickens, all of it, right? We have people out here with their quads, and we're just a nice mix of life. So how do we keep the Rio Verde lifestyle? And it's by protecting the development and keeping, a 100-acre parcel that might be for sale and providing them a 100-year and having the county go, oh, well, it's a whole 100 acres, and gosh, we could put 4 houses per acre, and what do you know? We got 400 houses on 100 acres, right? And so we're trying to avoid that kind of thing out here because that will absolutely just exacerbate the problem.
So
Yes,
you're
thank
saying
you.
If it's 100 years, then developers can use that water.
Yes.
If it's 99 years, the developers can't.
Correct.
It's
We can't.
It's one of the stipulations. There's like 5 or 6 things that are required to get an assured water supply, certificate of assured water supply by Arizona Department of Water Resources. That is one of the stipulations. If we take that one out, there's no way they can get a certificate of assured water supply unless there is a 100-acre piece that is not part of the district. But anyone who's part of the district, they can't pull that water as a developer. They would not be able to pull that water from our water source. They'd have to get their own water source.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't keep you from developing your property, or if you have 10 acres and you got 4 kids and you want to divide it into 5 2-acre parcels and build 5 houses and whatever you want to do, it's your property, you do what you want. Yes.
Hi, Deb Kent here.
Hi,
Hey,
Deb.
everyone. Hey, I have a question. I think probably a lot of folks are concerned about the governance of something like this.
Yeah.
And what are our rights or our voice? And then I think probably another concern is cost, right? Like, we've invested. I certainly want to stay here. I want to invest in my property. I'm willing to share and support. So if we have any estimate on cost or timelines, and then maybe is there ways to financially support people who might need a loan, if that's what it comes to. So thanks again for setting this up.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk about governance first, because that was a big part of some of the opposition stuff when we're talking about the district. So in regards to district governance, a lot of people were afraid we would condemn their properties, condemn their wells, tax them to use water out of their own wells. A whole lot of concerns there, okay? If they're not a member of the district. Well, that's like saying City of Scottsdale can charge us property tax because we live next door. They can't do that. And the district can't tax a non-member property, okay? And we already talked about the condemnation. So the condemnation, philosophically, yeah, is the right there? Yes. But I want to go back to the condemnation. Really clear here. The U.S. has the authority, the state has the authority, the county has the authority, every city, town, and guess what? Every single one of you in this room have the right to condemnation. How come? Because some of you live out on some old little toodle dirt road, and guess what? Some in here are in probably a lawsuit right now with their neighbor, because the neighbor's trying to keep them from going across their property, right? So how do you still get to your property? You take it to court on condemnation, and you tell the judge, this road's been here 20 years. I've been coming to my house. I want to secure an easement across that property to get me to my property. And guess what? That's how it works. It's the same thing with the water district. And eventually a utility, bottom line, there's federal mandates on utilities, and that's what makes the freeways, the railroads, the water, the electric, all of it go across the United States, right? You've got to have the ability to move those items. Now,
Hey, Karen, could
Yeah.
you explain maybe about when the district is formed, how would it be governed? How would it be structured so we all
Oh.
have a voice?
oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, Chris. So as far as how it's governed, we're starting it with 5 board members, 5 suckers. We drew the shortest straw, so we won, and kind of. And so, but in 2022, so we got approved now. In 2022, guess what? 2 or 3 of us get to escape, and 2 or 3 of you get to be voted in. So every 2 years, 2 or 3 of the members will be up for election. And it's just a rotating. It's a 4-year position. It's super fun, guys, and you're going to make a ton of money. You heard about that? This is how much the board's going to make. You ready? All 5 of us together. If we had 4 board meetings every single month, and every single one of us were at every board meeting, we get $9,000 that all 5 of us get a share. That's it. But we get to do all the work. We get to accept the billing. We get to do work on accounting. We get to work on contracts and figuring out what land we're buying and working. I mean, right now we've done so much work. We have CAD drawings on the fill stations and maps, and we know which meter systems will give us the best info because each member gets a different code for their property because Arizona Department of Water Resources wants us to be able to track how many gallons goes to each home. Yes?
Did the Board of Supervisors agree to oversee this process?
It's a law that they do. So I just wanted to simplify that a little bit.
Got to be
So we're,
several counties in Arizona that the Board of Supervisors of those counties oversee your board.
you're absolutely correct. And the simple version is the domestic water improvement districts or any improvement district in the state of Arizona is run just like any municipality. So if you've ever lived in a city or even the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, there's a board and they vote and everything has to go on an agenda item. So we need an agenda item just to be put on the agenda. So everything goes before all the community members, everything is heard by all of the community, and the board members don't vote on anything until that is done. It is we have to abide by open meeting laws. We have to let everybody know how much money is being spent, where the money is being spent. A co-op does not have to do that. Sometimes they do, sometimes they appoint a board, sometimes they don't. But a co-op doesn't have to do that, and a private utility does not have to do that. They go by Arizona Corporation Commission rules, and they don't have to talk to the community at all. All they have to do is go to the Corporation Commission and ask, can we do this? And most of the time they're told yes. So that is basically how we're run. And the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors does oversee us. They are the backup solution. If we're not doing our jobs as board members, they can get rid of us, reappoint people, they can get rid of all of us, and they can govern it if that's necessary.
Yes.
I was in email discussions with the Board of Supervisors, and the question came up with a lot of people, is there going to be a limit to building permits in Maricopa County in this area due to this issue that we're all discussing, because the building around here has gone crazy. So if we keep building the heck out of everything, this problem exacerbates itself every day.
All day long, and tell you what, right
So what's the
now,
short answer?
We just
Short
asked,
answer
asked
is-
that question. We literally just asked that question to Jen Bukowski, who is the deputy county manager.
Karen had mentioned that we were on the phone with Jen Prokowski. Jen Prokowski used to be Prikorsky, however you want to pronounce it, I don't think she'll mind. She used to be planning and development director. She is now the deputy county manager. And we were on the phone with her about an hour and a half before the meeting started. And one of the specific questions I asked, I said, somebody at this meeting is going to ask us, what about building permits and no water, right? So her words were similar to what she said in other hearings, is that they cannot refuse a building permit for lack of water by state law. The state makes those laws. So her suggestion was that we go to our House of Representatives, because I specifically asked, I know that they were working on this with the state and the Department of Housing and Department of Real Estate about this issue in particular, because it's not just our community that's doing this, it's happening all over Maricopa County and the state. These developers are coming in and building spec homes, and just background, if you build more than 5 homes, it's considered a subdivision, right? If you split lots and you build more than 5 homes, it's considered a subdivision, and you're required to give a water source. That means a well or wherever the water's coming from. It's a requirement. So what do these wildcat builders do? They build 4 or 5 houses, and they don't have to provide the water source. They just say, here's the water hauler's numbers, go call them. And that's your water source. So the permit process, if we had the time, we've mentioned it to them in most of our meetings with them, if we had the time and effort right now, and we may still end up doing it, but we will go to John Kavanaugh, which we have a relationship with from prior interactions, and ask them to write a bill that would possibly pass, the House and the Senate. So does that answer your question about the Wildcat building? It's a state law, and it has to be passed through legislation. Legislation starts in January, ends in April. If a law is passed, it's written well enough that it does pass, it won't go into effect until August of next year.
But another issue or a sidebar to this is that all the houses are being built, and no one, realtors or builders or anybody, is informing the buyers that this is an issue, and they're walking around bumping into each other.
I'm a realtor, and I'm going to tell you how we should be handling
I've
this.
been talking to dozens of neighbors around my area, and 95% of them don't even know that this is an issue.
You're absolutely correct.
We get that call this week. I can't tell you how many realtors we've talked to. We've talked to a lot of. Are you a realtor?
No,
Oh.
but we just bought here, we haven't closed yet. and
We
just
have that
found out
come up
about
all the
this.
time too. People coming up to
Yeah.
us and saying, we just bought, we didn't know. we
Yeah.
didn't
On
know."
Saturday, we were in the when we were on the corner. We probably talked to at least 8 people that were either in contract or the house just closed on the house, and then that thing was disclosed. We have other people who had bought a house and were told they were on a well. And in fact, one of them, might be one of you, was telling me how they were standing at the kitchen sink with the sink on, and the neighbors over, and they're like, "You gotta shut that water off." And he goes, "Oh, it's okay, I'm on a well water." And they're like, "No, you're on a shared tank with us. You're on hauled water." Okay? But guess why it's continuing? Because nobody has stood up and said enough is enough and filed a lawsuit. Nobody. I haven't had one person say they've taken a realtor to the board or that property owner. Because guess what? It's the seller's property disclosure statement. I tell my clients all the time, disclose, disclose, disclose. You got noisy kids out there, tell them you got noisy kids. If you have the water solution, disclose it. As long as you tell people about it, they usually don't care. It's not a big deal. But Lord help you if you didn't disclose it, okay?
But
Yeah.
they said they didn't know.
Oh.
Uh-huh. You can give me their name. I happen to have emails from everybody we've ever
The
emailed.
only repercussions at this particular juncture is the lawsuit against the realtor or contact the Department of Real Estate.
It's really the owner of the property.
We will go forth with John Kavanaugh.
Some
In the
realtors
talks-
know, some don't.
In the talks with John Kavanaugh, we will mention all of these things, and they will probably be separate bills, but we will try.
Well, what they're not disclosing is that they're disclosing that you're on a shared well.
Right.
And it could be supplemented with hauled water. This is what happened to us. Nothing was disclosed that there's a water shortage here and that we need to find an alternate source of water. That was not disclosed because otherwise we wouldn't have purchased our home. It was a year ago. There's 4 other people on our streets that say the same thing. Had they known that there was gonna be a water shortage here, they wouldn't have purchased. And that's the part that needs to be disclosed, and it's not being disclosed.
Yeah, yeah.
If, I just want to mention, because this is coming up, if any of you have come up with a situation like that where it's been not disclosed, or that you bought a home and you're on a shared well, the other thing about wells is our exempt wells, which are residential wells, they pump 35 gallons a minute. At the most, that's the maximum they can ever pump, which is why we would never want anybody's well, because it wouldn't pump enough water for us. But those wells are drilled, and the only reporting on those wells is the very initial log report. That's it.
Right.
They never ever get looked at. They never get looked at unless the homeowner inspects it for some reason or another. The commercial wells, the non-exempt wells, they have to report. That is another state law thing that has to be changed. And they don't do it because there are so many wells. There are thousands and thousands of wells, and they can't keep track of the data. But in order for this, in order to keep track of things out here, they're going to have to change that a little bit. And we can't force them to, but we can bring forth that information. So if any of you have come up with a situation where you're on a well, or you bought a house with a well, please come to us and we'll write your name down and phone number.
We need to start tracking it.
We need to be able to have enough people to say, hey, this has happened to me, and we'll bring it forth to John Kavanaugh, our representative.
Well, you know, we have a well dug, but they had to bring in a tank, and so the message that we got when we purchased the home was, you're on a well, it's a shared well, and the well inspector was able to draw enough water to test it, but it's always dry. I mean, there's just a little
Always
bit in
dry
there.
means you have no water.
And so we're 100% hauled
Right.
water. There's no water coming out of that well. And so, I mean, we were lied to, and it's very frustrating.
That is, all of this stuff is outside of getting the district, but it still has a huge bearing on the district and the people that will use the water from the district, because you're all using the water that those sellers said you have access to, right?
Okay.
But back to, I have a question about the ordinance. So
Okay.
what I'm hearing, when I've been out there trying to drum up just interest to come and hear what the Dwid is offering.
Okay.
And one of the comments that I received from somebody is that, yeah, they say, I said, well, they've covered this whole condemnation issue in their write-up. All you need to do is, I can provide you with that information.
Yeah.
And they said, well, boards change, and boards can change the ordinance. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, yes, but it's something we have to involve all our members in. And so, again, your board members are your community members. If you have a private utility, they don't live here. It's not your neighbor. They don't have an invested interest. Like for myself, I have 3 generations living here. I had 4 generations until Mom
It
passed.
just seems like it's an age-old problem. The people with water don't want to share it with the people without water. I mean, I got comments back saying, well, you shouldn't have bought out here if you didn't have a secure source of water.
But you didn't know.
But I didn't know, exactly.
There's another point to that.
Okay, we need to move on.
We will move on. There's another point to that, and the initial conversations were, I don't want you taking water out of my aquifer.
Right.
Well, it's my aquifer too. It's all of our aquifer, and it's quite large. I mean, it encompasses all of Rio Verde, and it goes that way, and almost to Fountain Hills. I mean, it's a large aquifer, so it's not just those people who are drawing water's aquifer. I just want to make that point.
Meredith.
So, yeah, there was a question over here, Karen. She's had her hand up a couple of times.
Oh,
I want to
sorry.
make a statement that these builders are coming in, and they're doing so because they're on 5 acres or less.
They
5
can only,
acres or less, I want to make everything clear.
yeah.
It's not 10 acres or 20 acres, it's 5 acres, and that's just really disgusting.
Yeah, it is disgusting, and we'll go to Kavanaugh with that information.
Meredith.
Okay, so my question is, I agree that we should fight the development and people should be made aware and all of those things, but you have water now that is in high demand that we need to secure. So my question is, as a community, what can we do to influence Maricopa County to approve it so that we can go and secure that water, because eventually everybody else, if there's other towns trying to get it, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And as we've said in this meeting, the water that we all have, whether you're on a well or you're hauled water, it's going to be going down. We all know that. That's a fact. If we have water right now on the table for 99 years, and we cannot sit and wait for somebody to get this job, for somebody to get caught up to speed, there's got to be a way that as a community we can voice this and get something going.
So what
does
we
that look
need
like?
every community member to do, if you agree that we should bring in an outside source and not promote, the ability to do a private wells, right, for a private utility that could drain our aquifer. We believe the best source is bringing in outside. If you get that and you support that we bring in an outside source of water, what we have tonight is two options for you. Because a lot of you get it. You have a well, life is good. You don't want to spend a dime. We have the option for you. We have a support form, and we need you to sign it because we need everybody in this community to say they support us running out and getting this water and bringing it in. And then we'll have it available if you need it. We're your backup system, right? And it's the best insurance policy in the world because now you go to sell your property, you got a great well, and if you have an issue, there's this district over here that you can go over their standpipe and have John or Damon or you self-haul. I know we got like 65 people that self-haul. But we need your support. We need donations. We're hiring an attorney to kind of put a little fire under this because Supervisor Chikri's position is pretty popular. They got 22 applications. Some, are like a no, but then there's a whole bunch of, oh yeah, these people qualify, and that's going to take a while, and it could be a couple months. And guess what? In a couple months, we're not going to have water anymore, guys. This water source is probably going to be completely sold, especially with Queen Creek getting it tonight. Yeah. In fact, you want to Google? Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't answer the second half of your question. Go ahead, try to keep me focused. That's really hard. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so cost of water. So I'm going to go off what's on our website today, and we're redoing calculations because we're realizing we can do some extra stuff with the U.S. Department of Ag that may make it a little cheaper. But unfortunately, after the Queen Creek deal tonight, and all these developers coming in from Pinal County for the source of water, our source of water is thinking about increasing. So we're just going to stick with the prices that we have on our website because that'll probably be the numbers. So the buy-in is your first year. It's $1,000. And that's all you pay in your first year. After that, it's $16 a month or $192. Then, on top of that, it's your cost of water, and we estimate that the cost of water will be about $10 per 1,000 gallons. It is right now $6.40 at City of Scottsdale. So why are we more expensive? Yet? Because we got to go buy this expensive source of water and do all this thing.
It is equal to New River and Anthem.
Oh, actually, our water is cheaper. That $10 is cheaper than what Epcor sells their water to Anthem out of that sand site. That's not obligated to anybody's property. So anyway, so $10 per 1,000. So for my home, I have 3,000. I use about 3,000. Well, not even 3,000 gallons. So when we did my calculation, my cost of water, if I have John Hall, my actual physical cost of the water that he buys will go up $10. But the nice part is, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, right now John and his crew have to drive, and Damon, whoever, they go up to Pima and Jomex. That's where the fill station is for City of Scottsdale to get the water. Well, if the district puts in a fill station and we get our dream and it goes in the City of Scottsdale, and let's say, I'll just plop it on 128th and Dynamite, right? Those water haulers don't have to go as far. So it saves John wear and tear on his truck and the cost of the employee. So for that 3,000 gallons that it cost him, right, my water cost went up $10. Is it going to be about the same, or do you think
some of our sources vary in price. Okay, so Scottsdale is about 6.5 cents or 0.06 per gallon. And then like Global Waters, pretty much the same price as what the Dwid water is going to be. And my business is a time-based business. So, you know, if the water goes up from 6.5 to 10, your water rates aren't going to double. If we get a closer fill station, we're going to be able to offset a lot of the costs of the increase of water. So it's, you know, yes, our hard costs are going to go up, but it's really based on time, and the rates are going to be relative to how much the actual hard costs. You know, so if my hard water costs go up 100%, does not mean my rates go up 100%. That whatever that extra cost of water that we absorb, we'll probably pass it on to you. But other than that, everything else is time-based. So no, there's not going to be a huge spike in rates under any circumstance. And hopefully it stays real close to where they are now, especially if the fill station gets closer.
Because you charge the same rate regardless of where you get the water.
Yeah.
Is that infrastructure cost, will there be infrastructure cost to get pipes to your home and things like that?
There will be no piping to homes. Yes.
So first a comment and then a question.
Okay.
Comment's gonna be on like a kind of a human level. So as a resident of Real Great Foothills, I respect everybody's opinion, right?
Yeah.
I also believe that we should, you know, live and let live. So that means if you have an aquifer, great, enjoy it. As on a person on haul water, I don't want to touch that. That's yours. Enjoy it, right? I just want mine to take care of my family. Period. End of story. Right? And I think a lot of us might agree with that statement, but I just wanted to make it said. Question on another level of her question: what's stopping this from getting approved? The district.
The Board of Supervisors, because there's other conversations going on. So we have opposition. And a lot of you are oppose this, and that's okay. And that's why we're here to talk. So we can all find some common ground. We're not going to all agree, and that's okay. We don't all have to agree. But at least let's come to some common ground. And let me tell you, from a year and a half ago when I had Mark Anthony and different people going, hey, Karen, you guys are fear-mongering. There is no drought. You're like those global warming nuts. Well, at least now I'm pretty sure we can all agree we're in a drought. So we're moving forward, right? And we're finding common ground on that. Hold on, Bella.
Question over here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Hey, Robert.
So, when I looked at this the last time, it was brought up with the Dwid, we had a deadline, we had to sign up for the Dwid by this date or we're out, and stuff like that. So when I was looking at the definition of non-contiguous, I didn't know that was settled law.
Yeah, it's set in law under
No,
title.
it's settled, whether it was settled, whether the law is there, but the definition in front of the courts was not settled. The definition of what non-contiguous meant. Is that settled now, or?
That was settled, yes, in August 17th of last year.
Okay.
It's only hold on. It is only Maricopa County Board of Supervisors that didn't understand what non-contiguous meant. All the other districts, and I talked to them, said, yeah, non-contiguous is just, we got this district and this district, and Joe Bob wanted in, and Sue Ellen, and whatever, and we got these different people together, and they formed their district. And there's lots of districts like that, and they're mostly in rural areas, so Maricopa County isn't real familiar with them. But the opinion came back, and in that, I actually quoted Webster Dictionary. Non-contiguous means they don't touch, whatever it is, right? Whether it's land or whatever it's.
I'll just make a statement. I don't trust Webster's Dictionary. They changed the definitions from year to year.
Yeah.
The Oxford English Dictionary.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Did I answer your question? Okay.
Where is the money going to come from to purchase the land where you want to do what it is?
Okay. So the money to buy the land out there, buy the water, which as of last time we talked, our water source was $7,000 an acre foot, plus.
And we need 200 acre feet.
Yeah, 150 to 200. And then we have to pay Central Arizona Project to move that water. We have to pay City of Scottsdale fees, etc. All of that is included And that $16, well, actually, all of that is included in the cost of the water. That's how we get to the cost of the water. It's the water, the infrastructure, the standpipe, the land on this end, the piping from us to City Scottsdale, all that is included in the water.
What I'm saying is, okay, you found a piece of land where you can hold the water. How do you pay for it?
We get a loan from the USDA and or WIPA, because WIPA won't loan us water, or loan us money for water, but USDA will loan us money for water. WIPA will only offer us
What's WIPA?
Water Infrastructure Authority and Finance Authority, and it is a state-run agency, and it helps water and wastewater facilities to be built. They only help with infrastructure, so they would help with the fill station per se. USDA, on the other hand, would help with both of those things. And both of them have grant programs, so we'll need an engineer to engineer things for us. There are technical sources where we may be able to get a grant, grant for like $50,000 to help that. We have not included any of those grants or forgiveness, loan forgiveness in any of our estimates. So our estimates could possibly go down, but we can borrow all that money on a 40 or 30 or 40-year loan at 2.5% or 2.25. It goes every quarter. They readdress the interest rates for both of these entities. Right now it's at 2.25%, which is what we've included 3% in our cost estimate.
And that loan amount will be paid by
by water only. We will not, in our cost estimates, we didn't include any property taxes whatsoever. We have the authority as an improvement district to charge property taxes, but we did not include that in any of our cost estimates. We are just charging the cost of the water and your establishment fee, and that should cover all of the costs for the loan.
But the loan is outstanding. Who's paying for the loan?
The district will. So we're going to sell you a gallon of water. We're going to get that money, and that's going to go
pay off the
loan. That covered all those costs. And your monthly fee covers our annual expenses. We're going to have somebody. We're going to spend $3,500 a year testing the water. We're going to spend that walking $9,000, which would probably be like $4,500 for the board members. Things like that. So there will be miscellaneous.
So do your costs, is it based on all 700 homeowners that are currently on call?
Actually, no. That's what the nice part is our cost estimates right now, we have 200 acre feet that we are possibly buying. That 200 acre feet could cover enough water for the 700 homes. And right now, our cost estimates are based on our 200 people that we already have signed up.
Okay,
So
that
we
will go
anticipate
down.
every year more people joining. We would love it if more people could actually sign now if they want to be in it, because that tells the county, hey, we want this district and we want it now. But every year we'll have an open enrollment period for everybody to join.
Yes.
Are there other alternatives to what you just talked about?
Say that again?
Are there other alternatives to what you're talking about with acquiring water?
Parkwahela?
In other words, what's keeping you from doing what they did at the end of the street?
What's keeping us from putting in a well here?
Wells and a standpipe there.
Yeah.
If you have anybody giving you a certain amount of money, because wells have a cost, and they can get committed, you get a permit here. Why can't you do that?
We could do that here, but we all are, we live here and we care about our community, and it's the worst thing for our community, and we promised we're not going to do it. And we've said that publicly, we've said it in writing, it's on our website, it's everywhere.
These wells are right at the river though, right?
Okay, so there's two different ways to get water. You can do it down by the river, that's expensive, and that's SRP water, okay? Or we could do it at 144th or 152nd. SRP water's not cheap either. So, and part of it is we're not SRP lands. We don't qualify for SRP water.
In other words, you cannot buy land there
And move it up here. No.
How did they do that?
They own the land.
They own the land down there. They bought, the Moody family owned Rio Verde Utilities, and EPCOR came in and they sold those wells to Rio Verde Utilities, and they have that legal right now to pull that water and serve it for Trilogy, Tonto, for that development. Yep, they got their 100 year, and that's how you got those little lots. Yes?
Who's going to make the decision on future price increases?
future price increases. So, the nice part about that 40-year loan is it's locked in. And so that's a flat. And as soon as we start going into the loan, it's better than because I used to do mortgages. So when we start the process and once we get our engineer and we talk about the cost to do the infrastructure and all of that, we can work with Robert over at USDA and lock our interest rate in, even though we'll be drawing. And by the time we buy the land and build the fill station and hook to Scottsdale, it might be 3 years down the road, but we're locked in that interest rate, and then it goes into a 40-year loan.
So
Right,
price
you're gonna
increases,
charge
they're
me
voted on.
X amount per month? What assurances do we have that that's not gonna triple or quadruple in the next
It has to
5
go before, we have to abide by open meeting law. So just like I said about the board of supervisors in the city of Scottsdale, we're run just like a municipality. They all have to be put on an agenda item in a regular board meeting. And those items, and that would only be for things that come up that were unexpected. Say, our fill station went down and we had to repair it and there were costs affected for that, right? We would have to account for that. If we didn't, we actually have reserves built into our cost estimates.
We have
that
huge
would-
reserves built in
That would
on
help
my
for that.
current
But
cost
if
structure.
we're talking 5-10 years down the road for some unexpected thing, then that would be brought before anybody who is a member of the district. And we would say, hey, we have $100,000 we have to pay for. We might increase the cost of water by 0.25% or 0.25 cents, you know. But it's not gonna be likely. We have cost estimates for the first 5 years, and nothing with the fill station is going to, none of those costs will occur in that time.
But the other thing is, you can vote us out.
Yeah.
The nice thing is, we're gonna give you the opportunity to be in and be a board member, because we don't wanna do it forever. We've been doing this for 3 years. I'm kind of exhausted. I wanna go on a few trips and have a little fun. So we're gonna give other members the chance to be. So in 2022, 2 board members or 3 board members will be up. We'll let other people in. 2 years later, 2 more board members. And if those people decide they wanna run, you can vote them out. You don't like them, you don't like what they're doing, vote them out. Get somebody in. Step up to the plate. Yes.
The other part of the question is, let's say Scottsdale is no longer going to provide water.
Right.
Why can't you acquire that station?
Because they have
Because
plans.
they're not going to give anybody water out here. What are they using it for? Everybody's on Scottsdale water there.
Because they paid for it.
They pay for it, and they have a lot of plans for their own facility, and they want nothing to do with us. We're separate, and they want us to
They will work
take
with
care of
us.
ourselves.
They will
Yes,
work
Sean.
with us until we build one.
I'm curious. I got a question about land on the report.
About what?
Please.
With your ability to tax, if someone doesn't pay the tax, can you lien their property?
Okay, so again, we don't have tax, but
We have the right to tax.
we have the right to tax.
And if you tax and someone
So-
doesn't pay,
so-
put a lien on the property.
So yes, in fact, I think, yes, right, yeah, if we had tax and you didn't pay the tax, you didn't pay your property tax, right? Because it's gonna come on your property tax bill. In fact, if you look at your property tax bill, you all are part of different special districts right now.
Sorry for asking that, or.
Oh, no, go for it.
Some of your folks here just didn't quite get that, that's why.
Yeah, I couldn't hear, that's why I wanted to.
That's
Thank you.
people that are members of the DWID. That's only members.
Only
of the
members of the DWID.
That's non-contiguous. Those who want to be in are in, those who don't are not in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Want the DWIB? What do we have to do to push this forward?
Thank you.
We need all of you to sign the support petition, or if you haven't, or sign the, to have your, to become a member. So if you want to be part of the district, we ask you to sign the petition. If you don't, let's say you have a great well, then we want you to sign the support, so we can go out.
How many signatures do you need to get the
As
county?
many as possible. There's not a set number. We only needed 5 signatures to form a district. You need 5 because you need a minimum of 3 board members, and when 2 come up, you need two people to replace them. But you can form a district with 5 people.
Okay, so you've got 200 signatures currently. And
220.
your cost estimates are based on the 220 signatures
Mhm.
Why aren't we moving forward?
Because the Board of Supervisors hasn't approved us. We'll just leave it at that for right now.
And what do we need to do to get approved?
Well, right now what we're trying to do is get more people on, to come to an agreement that A, we need to secure an outside source. I know it, by a show of hands, who in here thinks that it would be better to pull from the aquifer off 144th and 152nd? Who thinks that's the best option? Because I know some people do, and that's okay. But let's talk about that. No? Okay. So, who
Is there
thinks
anybody
it's...
who opposes the district right here?
Yeah,
Is there any
I
opposition
assume
here
there.
tonight? Because we didn't talk about inviting those people. No,
Well, I assume a lot of you are opposing. Okay, so is everybody in here for bringing in an outside source of water? Raise your hand if you're for the outside source. Okay. And then who doesn't have enough information to make a decision about it? Okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the honesty. Yes, Meredith.
So there's a lot of people who say, I didn't know I was on cold water, I didn't know there was a water shortage. So I firmly believe there are still people who are not on social media.
Yes.
I don't go on very often because whatever.
Yes.
How as a community can we make sure that all of those neighbors get this information? Because I do think there's more people like you guys who just bought homes who maybe weren't told.
Right.
Or people who don't know because I think, yeah.
So we need
majority
your
of people
help.
don't
We
know.
need
So how do
each-
you want people to spread that word?
Yeah. So we need your help a couple ways. We need signing of support, signing of the petition. But we also we have flyers, and we want you to educate your neighbors. Take flyers tonight. I also have support petitions with room for 5 signatures each, and it's got my name and phone number on the bottom. If you could talk to your neighbors, at least have them support us so we can go secure a long-term source of water. And give them this flyer, our name, mine, Jennifer, and Kent, who wasn't available to be here tonight. Have all put our phone numbers on here and are available to talk. And I'm available to have meetings at 10, 2, and 6 every day for the next 5 days. Next week I'm enjoying Thanksgiving. But I will have them at my home every day until we get everybody's questions answered, and we need to get every community member involved. This is important because if we miss out on this source of water, it's game over for bringing in this outside source.
So last year, or months ago, you submitted our petitions to the county. I remember all these meetings.
On February 17th, we submitted the petition.
And did they deny the petition?
No, it's on hold right now.
Go over the timeline for that now, because I think a lot of people are confused what's happening now and how we got to this point.
Okay.
So go over
And
that.
go to the back table and start accepting signatures.
Well, I'm already doing it here.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Go ahead and talk about the timeline.
Okay, so timeline. We had accepted a bunch of signatures. We had our regional group. We submitted to Maricopa County February 17th. We had hearings in February and April and May. The last one was August 18th. Maricopa County has pushed us off. Unfortunately, we have a lot of our community who has fed a lot of misinformation. Like, we're going to condemn everybody's property. We're going to force everybody in the district. We'd have to have a group of people with millions of dollars to accomplish such a thing, and a really stupid judge. But we're going to tax wells and all these things. None of that is true. There's no law that supports such idiocracy. Okay? So unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the community right now who have misinformation. So that's why we need to come to the table, because I don't know everything. I've learned a lot. We've been to conferences down in Tucson on water. We've talked to everybody from directors at the CAP, all kinds of people. But what we need to do is just educate the community and address their fears. Because it doesn't matter if they're valid, they're their fears. So if it's somebody's fear, it's a valid fear. So you have neighbors who are concerned and are worried because it is a governmental agency kind of thing. Get me in front of them. Tell them to come over and visit me, or I'll come visit them. Or have your neighbors over to your driveway and just say, bring a chair and bring a bottle of water. I'll come over and talk. But we need to get in front of people, and we need the support of this community so we can secure a long-term source.
You want to
We
volunteer?
don't have a supervisor
Right on the record here is,
right now.
would you like to volunteer? And if you don't, that's okay, just let me know.
We're not gonna sit, we're done waiting. So I think, news media is gonna get involved and we're doing our best. We are gonna work over the next week. We have some people who are gonna try to get us in front of the different board of supervisors. And if we can't get their attention, we're gonna have to go to the state level. And if we can't get it at the state level, we're gonna have to go higher. Because guess what? My home's not gonna be worth much if I can't flush my toilet.
Is there any benefit to contacting any of the other supervisors?
Yes, there's a huge benefit. In fact, if all of you, well, actually, hopefully most of you if you didn't get an email from me inviting you here tonight, there's our email on here, info@gotwaterrvf.com. Grab one of these and send, I get all the emails out of this. Send me your info so that I can include you on the email list, because we're going to want everybody to let the supervisors know. We want a long-term source. We don't want people putting wells in our aquifer and exacerbating this problem. We need to be good neighbors and protect our well owners and the ranch owners. There's a lot of people here that rely on the wells. We need to support them, and yet for those that haul, we need a long-term source for our properties. So with that, I think we're going to go. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
If you bought a lotto, a $1 million ticket was sold in Scottsdale.
Oh.
So that might be our answer, whoever won.
Okay, you've already signed up for the district, you're free to go. But please come up here and get we have these support forms, and get 5 of your neighbors to sign the support form and call me and I'll come pick it up from you, okay?
If you could hold on just 1 second. My name is Carmela, and Annie Hodgkins 5 years ago started this entire movement, and I helped her for a couple years. I've been working in the background with Karen and Jennifer and the group of people who are putting this together. And I cannot even begin to tell you the sacrifices they have made, the time they have spent, the energy and efforts they have expended, and the money that they have spent as well on behalf of the community. So I want to thank them particularly for going ahead and moving this forward. And I also want to say that this is going to take a lot of money. So there are lawyers that need to be hired, there are mailings that need to be done, there are fees that are needing to be paid. So if you have your pocketbook or your wallet with you tonight, please write a check to Gotwater RVF. It's a bank account that's already been established to help us move this forward. Thank you.
Okay, logistically, Jennifer over here is helping people sign to join the district, and Karen will be helping people to fill out the support forms. Karen. Karen or Chris, leave you over here.